Well, today is a big day. We were able to launch 2017 GitHub Universe. How great is that? Pretty amazing. Everybody was a part of that. Also, this is a big day. You know what today is besides this conference? Thank you. Today is National Coming Out Day, October 11th. So for those of you amazing queer, gay, fabulous folks that are out and about in tech, raise your hand. Raise your hand if you're out and about, proud to be who you are in tech. Nice. Nice to see you. Now raise the hands of the allies who are amazing about supporting LGBT in tech, making sure that they're thriving and growing in the industry. Raise your hand. Nice. Thank you. So all the other folks who did not raise your hand, just know by the end of my presentation, you'll be coming out. So, NCOD, National Coming Out Day. The first National Coming Out Day took place on October 11th, 1988. So when you think of the 80s, what comes to mind? Big hair, people walking around with shoulder pads that are like football players. You're thinking of hair bands all the way to Michael Jackson doing the moonwalk. You might even be thinking of amazing films like Top Gun, Gremlins, E.T. What are other great things? Maybe technology. You're thinking about Atari, Nintendo, Mario Brothers, going in spaces like this. That's all arcade. Walkman, you're walking around jamming with your Walkman. Maybe that's what you're thinking when I say the 80s. I'm wondering if someone here was thinking about something that was really challenging for the LGBT community in the 80s. Did anybody, when I say what comes to mind for the 80s, did anybody here automatically think of HIV/AIDS? One hand, a few folks. Yeah. This was a big, big time. 1988 was a time that was moving towards the peak of the HIV/AIDS crisis. We had individuals by the rate, like in metropolitan areas like New York and San Francisco. The death rate in 1988 was 80 to 100 people passing away each week. That's a challenging time, isn't it? We had half of the LGBT community running in saying, hey, how are we going to support? We need to do some action. They got involved, did some protests, while the other half ran away, afraid of catching what this gay cancer was in the 80s, right? When you think of 1988, we had a president who could not utter the words AIDS. Yet by the closing of 1988, we had over 25,000 Americans who passed away from HIV/AIDS. But we could not have a president to utter these words as an epidemic, more or less take direct action to do change to address the issue. So you might see some LGBT history and you see a lot of protesters back in the 80s wearing this t-shirt that says, silence equal death. Well, that was because of the president at the time. The Reagans were so busy focusing on the epidemic that they saw was issue in the 80s. For folks who lived in the 80s, what was it? Just say no. Just say no to drugs. They were more concerned about the epidemic that was happening with teenagers going on the playground in the back of their high school, smoking a little something. That was the epidemic that they wanted to address and dive in all this money for this Just Say No campaign, while the LGBT crisis was folding out to 80 to 100 deaths a week. That was not an epidemic they wanted to get involved in, right? They couldn't utter the words. But Reagan was able to utter this. I didn't put it on a slide because I don't feel like it's worth that big of attention to honor that. But what he was able to utter was this. My criticism is that the gays aren't just asking for civil rights. It's asking for recognition and acceptance of an alternative lifestyle, which I do not believe society can condone, nor can I. That's what he said. The gays. I need a shirt that says that. The gays. I'm with the gays, right? So when ACT UP was actively live, going out and protesting, trying to bring awareness, realizing that their brothers and sisters are falling and the others are running away, scared, we had protesters that would come out and counter-protest the movement with white surgical masks, a representation of you're sick, you're unworthy, you're evil, you're sinful, you deserve that, right? They had this white surgical mask. When everybody was out there fighting, saying we need attention, they would show up with these white surgical masks saying you're not worthy. So what is the climate? So aside from AIDS, 1988, we had icons that we would say are LGBT icons now, right? George Michaels, Katie Lang, amongst many other icons. At that time, in the peak of their career, were not out as individuals. They were fearful that that would be damaging for their career. So they were very closeted at that time in 1988. And if there were gay characters on television or in movies, guess what? The characters were either dying of HIV/AIDS or they were beat up and killed by the end of the episode or closing of the movie. That was a climate of being able to come out at that time. What about the workforce? What about the tech sector workforce? Right? Well, you're pretty much invisible. You kept quiet. There was even personal ads out in gay papers saying, hey, let's get married. That way we can be undercover, right? Be undercover from work, be undercover from their families. That way no one would question what's going on. Hey, let's get married. So if you were invisible and took a step to being visible, you were either pushed out of a company like IBM or you were fired. That was the climate, the work climate at that time. So what do we talk about when we say transformative? You know, my whole presentation is about being transformative change in challenging times. What does that mean? What am I talking about? It is about causing a marked change in someone or something. Causing a marked change. It's like kind of a transformation, a proactiveness of it, right? So let's go back to National Coming Out Day. It started off with a concept by one organization saying, you know what, we need to have a voice. We have to create a normacy to this thing about being LGBT. Let's normalize it. Let's try to get a face, an image, a logo, a speak for us to say, hey, we need to encourage our folks who are running to come back and stand still and come out. So that's what National Coming Out Day did. They asked one organization step forward, asked one artist to come out, create a logo that a community can back. Just like Black Lives Matter, right? They create a message, a campaign. So did NCOD, National Coming Out Day. In my time, because I grew up in the 80s, I remember National Coming Out Day. I remember when it would hit every time, wondering if that was the time I was going to come out, right? I was working with HIV/AIDS clients and youth at that time too, where we were doing mass funerals, right? We're doing mass funerals. People were dying at such a fast rate that we were doing we did a service. It was for 20 people. We would do a service, almost like a weekly basis. That's the service that we did, right? I remember a story of a youth that came up to me and saying, I'm HIV positive. And you know what? I'm actually happy about that. And I said, what are you talking about? I said, that way I don't have to be fearful anymore. Now I have it and I can deal with it, right? I'm so fearful of connecting, not knowing what HIV/AIDS is and how it got spread. So a movement came with NCOD saying, hey, let's put a name, let's come out, let's normalize it with other individuals. Let's demonstrate that we are brothers and sisters and teachers and mothers and fathers and lawyers. Like, it was really important. And Keith Haring stepped up and said, I would take that challenge. That one artist stepped up. So with one person on stage saying, hey, come out, I encourage you to come out, others follow suit. So we had generals that were coming out. We had a gold medalists starting to come out. We had actors starting to come out. All these years later, coming out, trying to show that the people that you love, the icons that you look up to, are LGBT. So where are we now? 2017, we're standing here, National Coming Out Day. What do you think? Are we better? What do you think? Well, does this look familiar to you? Kind of looks like 1988, right? So we have a president who doesn't have a problem uttering, right? We have a president that's uttering a lot of things, right? But we have a society that's being challenged and pushed by the concepts and beliefs that this president has, just like the 1980s, right? So it's not being silent, it's being, hey, maybe you need to slow down and be quiet, right? So instead of white surgical masks, what we have in 2017 that symbolizes hate and you're not good enough, we have red hats. That's what shows up at the protests and counter-protesting, or red hats. What about our government? What's happening just in the world, in the US? We have states that are starting to pass bathroom bills because they're fearful of the queers in the bathrooms, though there hasn't been one single incident of an LGBT person taking advantage of someone. But we got to pass those laws, right? We got to pass them. So bathroom bills are starting to emerge. We have a military starting to question if a certain gender identities are of value, are fundable to serve for our country. That's what's happening. We have marriage equality. Everybody celebrates that, but now are being trickled down and being pulled and tugged to see how we can dismantle that now at 2017. What about the workforce? What about the tech workforce? Well, we have 28 states in this United States where you can get fired for being LGBT. 28. But what's great about the tech sector is they're actually being the movement towards LGBT tech inclusion in regards to health. They're making sure policies and benefits are included for their employees. They're moving towards being the most innovative folks when it comes to LGBT health. And when they're building their skyrocket buildings, they're still being challenged of understanding the value of gender-neutral bathrooms. So let's think about the youth of today, 2017. Well, if you identify as an LGBT person, as a young person today, your percentage of one of these has just skyrocketed. LGBT youth comprise of the most highest percentage rate of everything that's listed on this up here. And that has not changed since I was growing up. That's still the same. That hasn't changed. Yes, more LGBT people are out, but guess what? They're more visible, which means they're more easier to target and attack. And you know what's creating that platform that makes it easier? Technology. Technology, right? This is the thing that's shaping 2017. It's technology. Technology has transformed how we connect and look at each other, right? So when you think of the landscape of technology and who's building technology, who comes to mind? Who are the people that come to mind when you think of technology? These are innovators. These are amazing people. Do these folks come to mind? What about the founder of computer science? The reason why we're all standing here or sitting here today is an LGBT person. Isn't that amazing? Talk about National Coming Out Day. We also have amazing people. The first American astronaut, female astronaut in space was LGBT. And yet she was not even out in her whole career. Yet she had a partner. She died. No one knew that. But her obituary honored her partner in it. And that's how we know this person was LGBT. We have the CTO of America, our third CTO of America, LGBT, Megan Smith. These are people that we're honoring in the tech scene. When you think of the tech sector, do you see these individuals? How are we uplifting our LGBT folks when we talk about technology? How are we doing this transformative work? Well, I would like to think Maven Youth is doing that. We're doing that. We're a national nonprofit that our goal is to inspire a young person of today, an LGBT youth, from being a consumer of technology to being an innovator of technology. 10% of the youth that touch our program are computer science driven. They already know they're headed that way. But 90% of the youth that we touch have no clue because of resources or lack of visibility of LGBT icons in tech doing the work. So we need to put ourselves into the landscape, and that is what Maven is doing. So we've been doing summer camps. We have free summer camps. We're nationally, so we're in New York, Texas, here, Boulder, Indianapolis. Like we're out there doing some amazing work, a free program for queer youth to come meet other LGBT tech professionals. We're doing workshops. We're even having youth leaders lead. We're at a point now in our programming that we're having young LGBT individuals who came in our camp now teaching and leading our camp with other youth. Pretty amazing stuff, right? So we do hackathons. We do Hack for Queer Youth. That's actually coming up in November in Chicago. So we're building tech solutions for queer youth. We also do workshops, we do internships, we do all these amazing things. Everything you can think of, black girls who code or girls who code, what they do, Maven does too. But our demographics are LGBT youth, right? So how did this all get started? It was the investment of GitHub. GitHub was the first company that when we were approaching a concept of idea, at the same time that Black Girls Code was doing this, same time, just a concept, GitHub said, you know what? This is important. We're going to fund this. I had no services. I had no program. I had no evaluation to say, hey, look, we're doing great work. Now you're going to fund us? No, I said, hey, I want to do this. I want to create a program that inspires LGBT youth to explore careers in tech, and GitHub says, we're here. So when I said, hey, we're going to do a summer camp, and you know what? I don't even have computers. I don't have no laptops to do our summer camp. GitHub said, no worry. We have all these computers. Here, go for it. Build. And because of GitHub coming out with us, changed. And now we're nationally now because of GitHub. GitHub, the power of one, right? Going back to National Coming Out Day, one person stepping up and saying, I'm coming out for this. GitHub did that for Maven. Because of GitHub, all these other sponsors came in suit too, saying, you know what? Let's back this in. GitHub got you. You know what? We're stepping up and we're doing this great work too. And if your company is not listed on here, it's time to come out. Didn't I say everybody's coming out today? It's time to come out. Your company's not listed, they need to be listed. They need to be involved. GitHub even went further. You know what? They not just give us cute shirts, they didn't just give us stickers, they didn't give us just computers, free space, networking, connecting, building our curriculum, you name it, they've been part of. GitHub said, you know what? We're going beyond sponsorship and in-kind stuff. We are going to invest in the work that you do and step up and say, you know what? What can you do with the $100,000? And I said, woo, I can do a lot. So I hope the power of one, this one company, GitHub, investing at this level, other companies will come in suit and saying, you know what? We need to uplift LGBT youth and technology. We need to change the landscape that when we see who's building tools looks different. And GitHub is right there at that door. So once again, National Coming Out Day, and these are the asks that I asked of you, and honoring 20 years later, we're at 20 years later doing National Coming Out Day. I'm asking you to mentor an LGBT young person. We need mentorships, no matter what job you have. At our camps, we don't highlight just developers. We highlight people on HR and media, communications, event organizing. We want to show them when we say tech, there's a whole slew of people that can work in the tech sector, right? So help us mentor some of our LGBT young leaders. Maybe you can lead an LGBT initiative, inclusive policy in your company. Have you looked at the bennies with an LGBTI? Have you looked at your insurance with an LGBTI? Have you looked at your venue space with an LGBTI? Have you looked at your application, your software with an LGBTI? You need to look at with that lens to see what changes that need to be done. Maybe you can host an event. Maybe you can host an event for us. We need hosts for our summer camps. So when youth come to our camps, our events, we're always hosted at a tech company. It helps us as a nonprofit. It's huge. Any other nonprofit person sitting in this room, when I say to you, you know what, I don't pay for my venue. I don't pay for the meals for the youth. I don't pay for the materials. All that's included in the hosting. They'll be like, what? How is that possible? So maybe it's something that you could do is host us. In this room, the pink elephant in this room is that you have privilege. You have privilege by sitting in this space. Some of you are getting paid today just to be educated. Some of you have a program at your company that matches the donation that maybe you haven't thought about donating to any nonprofit before, but yet your company will match it. That's privilege. And because of the challenging times that we live in today, I'm saying to you, if you can hear my voice, that privilege is revoked. That privilege of being a bystander and pointing at other nonprofits and be like, oh, they're going to address the issue. Oh, that activist group that's out there in the streets, they're going to make changes. No, no, no. November election, change that. November, change your privilege of being a bystander. That's been revoked. You need to take a step. You need to come out and be proactive. So please think about all these ways that you can come out in the community, the ways you can come out at work. The last thing I ask is stepping up and being a champion for LGBT youth in tech. And that's a big step. That's the last step on this thing. Because maybe you need to tackle all these little things before you can take this larger step. But it's about time that everybody can think about investing in this community. And lastly, I want to leave you is that GitHub, once again, being the amazing company that they are, is doing a benefit concert tonight. So the neon trees tonight with your ticket that you come and kick it with us tonight. Maybe you want to get some of these cool little shirts I'm wearing, limited edition, vintage, right here. Come to the concert tonight. Celebrate. Let's celebrate tonight because the next day you're going to have to work hard towards some of the other changes of coming out, right? So let's come together as a community and celebrate 20 years of National Coming Out Day. So thank you.